G'day everybody. How is everybody going out there? We're going to correct this a little bit. Hope everybody is doing very well. Welcome to the round 17 chat featuring your team live. Hope everyone's having a great day. But before we get on the stream, I guess we have to do the usual stuff. We have to say subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. If you're just watching the footy and you've tuned in afterwards and you're not already subbed, please go ahead and sub now. Like this video, whether you're watching it now or in the future. Leave me a comment down below if you are watching the future. And don't forget to join the Discord. And if you pop your team in where it says post my team here, we can put your team up on the screen and we can have a chat about it. And if you're not a member of Discord, we can probably do it through the game as well. It's just better if you do it through Discord. So join that Discord. The link is in the chat, wherever the chat might be for you, to the right, to the left. And yeah, do that. And we're going to have a good night chatting footy. All right, round 17. Nobody told me that I had round 16, round 17 up last week as my thumbnail for the wrong week, but thanks anyway. Corey, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. You had a great night with Wilmot, Holmes, Smith, and Neil. Yeah, it's very, very nice, buddy. A bit worried about Holmes when he went off was it near just before half time? Gave me a panic. He's the only player that I had tonight playing for me. Just Holmes, I think. No Brisbane players. I would like a bit of Zach Bailey. He started the game on fire, didn't he, when Brisbane... It was an interesting game. Brisbane came out and shot the lights out. So my opponent has Bailey Smith, which is a little bit of a worry. And we both had Holmes, so not too bad. My league match could be a little bit trouble this week. How's everything else with you, Corey? I hope everything is going very well. As usual, not too much to talk about with my team this week. We are doing no trades because we've only got 2 trades in the bank. We would love to get our West Coast rookie in Marcus Herbert, but we can't. Well, we could do it, but we're not going to, just because it would be a trade for the sake of trading. We got pretty good coverage. Edwards and Dirksen are still playing, especially we heard Wiedering is going to be out for another month. So we got full covered on the back line in case any trouble. We got all playing midfield in case we have any trouble. Ruck line, well, we can always bring Grundy up if we've got trouble. And the forward line, well, that's a bit of a disaster in the way of coverage there. But hopefully we're not going to require it. So, yeah, so that's my team. That's all the trades I'm doing. Vice captain this week. So if you like, while we're waiting for a few people to show up, hey, Michael, how are you? G'day to you too, mate. Just Bezalanka for you tonight. Traded Daniels to Nash. Yeah, kind of sucks for your crew out there. Got Daniels in. I considering myself at the price he was, so I feel a bit sorry for anyone who's got Daniels out and has to get rid of him now. And Baslenka, I wish I had Baslenka, but I do not. I've got the inferior midfield without him. So when I come up against opponents like my opponent this week, who is below me on the ladder, but not by many points, I like the look of his team a little bit better than look of my team. He's in the way of primos. He's got Smith, Sanders. He's got Jones as a rookie, and he's got Dawson, Gawn, Smith, Nass, Sheasel, LDU, and Parker. Gorner's not different because these are the different primos. And as for different primos for me, I've got the Thrill Thorpe. We both got Gorn. I got Will Day, got Pickett, got Callahan, got Whitfield, and got Josh Stakos. I got Rao and I got Durham. So I kind of like his primos a little bit more than mine. I'm missing Baz and Nasai Wanganeen Malira, 2 players I would really like. And as predicted, he is predicted to win a little bit more than I am. So I think it's going to come down to pretty much captain choice. And if, Wanganeen, Malera, and LDU go bonkers, I'm pretty sure he'll have Sheasel. I've just got him as my captain, which is the only reason that it's not showing as he has. There's no way he doesn't have Sheasel, right? Yes, he does. Yep. I was going to say that would be impossible. Yeah, so I might be changing, if you guys watch my trades and captains videos, my preferred vice captain and captain choices. After seeing the teams, we can have a look at the teams if you like a little bit, but seeing that Hawthorn are down to one ruck, down to Meek, and Gawn against Meek, if we look at his stats now, I'm pretty sure that Supercoach doesn't want to play. Supercoach don't want to play? Is it just having a heart attack because everyone's on Supercoach at the same time? I think it might be typical. When you want to stream, Supercoach has a heart attack. Well, let's have a look at the teams, and I'll kind of explain it to you that way. So we go to Hawthorn. We can go team by team if you want. Corey, what are you? Your team last week came back from the clouds to win your match. Nice. Even with Brent Daniels' injury, bad start of the round, he had track and you didn't won. So track's been pretty average lately, hasn't he? Hi, Karen. How are you? Nice to see you, as always. Trades this week, Dersma out to Franco. Yeah, it could be. He might even be the better of the two rookies for the Eagles. It looks like he's named as a follower, I think. If we'll get to that one. If we have a look here, he's not even named on the bench. He's named straight up as a follower. So if they play him in that position, geez, could be a good scorer for the Eagles. I mean, we could do with a really good midfielder. So hopefully he is going to be that for us. And with my two trades, that's why I'm not too worried about not getting Marcus Herbert this week, even though I'd really like him. I think he'll be one of the best scoring rookies if he holds his position in the team. I think if in a couple of weeks, if Franco's still in the team, he could also be very good. And if I need to do a downgrade before my Supercoach finals, maybe I can pick up Franco at 99k. Sorry, I missed the rest of your chat, Karen. I got carried away. 3 trades left. Bailey may have an upper leg issue. Oh, who? Zach Bailey. Oh my no, he was on fire. I didn't see that. I was kind of watching the game and doing other stuff at the same time, so I didn't see that. But that's a real shame because he was one that I would have really liked to have in my forward line. Buyers left. You got 19k. 19k spots dropped after the buys. Yeah, that's pretty rough. I'm pretty happy myself, Karen. I gained 25 to 30,000 spots during the buys. So we were at 60, 65,000, and now we're at 30 something, 32 or 33. Thanks, Michael. Yeah, so I actually did quite well through the buys. I did have a plan, and my plans worked kind of nice, and I won most of my leagues. So, and things went right for me too. Let's just not say that I'm not pat myself on the back saying it was all due to my plans. Things did go well for me. Yeah, but we're talking about the captains. So if we're looking at the team lineups while waiting for Supercoach to come back, we can. Oh, it's kind of back. There we go. But yeah, so team lineups. Sydney Swans have 1 million people out, and including Laddams, which is good for Grundy, but I just don't trust Grundy yet. He hasn't put up a big score in a while. Hopefully this is the week. It'll be the first week he could, he put up a 120 plus if he can when he's in my team. I think the best week, did he get a 110 or something last week? It's the best week since he's been in my team. So nothing too. Riley West dropped a little bit interesting, but fair enough. The Eagles, Cooper Duff was injured. Elijah Hewitt omitted, which is a bit of a shame. I thought Hewitt was going to be a really good player for us, but he just hasn't come on. He's been a bit unlucky when it's been with injuries. And I think he's kind of similar to a lot of other midfielders we've got. And Ryan Marrick is being omitted. I think we're still lacking a really good ball collector, someone who gets a lot of possessions. And I don't think Hewitt's that guy. And I don't think a lot of the other midfielders we have coming up are those guys. So maybe Franco can be that guy. I guess we will find out. Over for Adelaide, they got Toby Murray and coming in. Hawks versus Melbourne. All right, so this is the one that we're interested in. So Hawks have McCabe, Gunston, Matt Hill, and Noah Mraz coming in. And out Deer, Reeves, Watson, and Amon. So it's a big outs for Hawthorn. Nick Watson is their absolute gun goal kicker. And Ned Reeves, the old dual ruck. So without a dual ruck, I'm like, gone. Solo rucking. No Max Heath in the team. up against Hawthorn. And you might say, oh, it could be could be a tough match, Seano. Well, it could be, but let's look at his record. Now, oh, can I? Oh, it's still dead. You're still dead, are you, Supercoach, or are you coming back? So I'm thinking, correct me if I'm wrong, as I often am, but I'm thinking that this match earlier on this year, 118 points, 2026, he probably played against the two rucks, Max Gawn. But the 2 years before, he probably didn't play against two rucks, where he got 145 and 142. So I'm really leaning towards a sneaky vice captain on Max Gawn. And I was leaning before on either Dacos or Jackson. And Jackson, I still think Sean Darcy takes a few more centre bounces than Cox was. Does it affect his score a huge amount? No. Can it affect maybe his ability to get a massive, like a 170 ceiling? Maybe. That's the only reason, I'm not going a vice captain on Luke Jackson. And Nick Dacos, I think it's still a reasonable pick. But I think I'm going to go Gawn into Sheasel. And Michael, West Coast Eagles, says going into Butters or Sheasel for you as well. Yeah, I think we don't give Sheasel enough respect. I think it's time that we just start picking him as a captain choice. What did he have, like 40 possessions at 90% efficiency or something stupid like that last week? Something very, very stupid like that. Like a massive amount of possessions at a very high disposal efficiency, which doesn't normally happen. Karen, we swapped spots. Yeah, you went up and I went down. Yeah, that happened. Not happy that the Eagles aren't playing Lindsay. Karen, no. Well, I think you got to give the kid a chance. He looked good. I think they should be playing. I honestly, it kind of sounds bad as being Eagle supporter, but I wouldn't mind if they dropped the old captain, the old captain Duggan. I mean, he doesn't do much. He's not a great kick. And even some of these Richmond boys, I mean, that we're playing aren't the best kicks, and Lindsay is. So I don't know. He is an 18-year-old kid. Give him some time. I think maybe give him another run towards the end of the season for sure. It's not like we're going to win finals, so playing these older guys that aren't going to be around in 4 or 5 years doesn't seem to make much sense to me. So you might as well give him another run sooner than later, if you ask me. Corey says, I'm unsure. Do I trade Malera this week or trade Daniels and a rookie down? You have 4 trades and you don't have much in the bank. Think Durham, Marshall, or even Caleb Daniel can't afford Nas. So let's talk about those. So both Malera's only going to be out 1 week, right? So I think you can keep, you mean Wanganeen Malera or you mean the Adelaide defender Malera? Because if you mean the Adelaide defender Malera, he's only going to be out 1 week, so you might as well keep him. But Daniels is going to be out for a while, right? So you've got to go Daniels. Brett Daniels calf strain. The club take cautious approach because of his injury history. So that doesn't help very much. But of course, cautious means, at least a couple of weeks, I guess. Yeah. So you're talking about getting in Durham or Marshall, even Caleb Daniel. So I think you've got 2 pods there and one that's pretty safe. I think Durham is pretty safe. He's showing that Essendon like him there in the middle, and I think they're going to play him there in the middle. He's not going to get a 128 every week like he did last week, which was beautiful, but I think he's good for a 90 to 100, and I don't see them taking him out of the centre bounces. They didn't last week, so they're I think it looks like they're probably going to stick with him. They took away the centre bounces from a few of the other guys, and so I kind of like it. Now Marshall, I'm keen and not keen on Marshall. So the positives for Marshall, 100%. If TDK does not play, he's number 1 ruck, and we know what he can score. He was 600k like the year before, and I know he was the top ruck in the other form in AFL fantasy. So, and he was very good in Supercoach as well. The problem with Marshall is two things. One, I don't know why I want to call him TDD. TDK can come back in like 4 weeks, right when it's up to your Supercoach finals. And if you don't have trades to then trade him out, you're looking at someone's going to be getting you 60s and 70s a lot. And the other thing, there was a little write-up from the coach saying about he's got an issue with the AC joint in his shoulder or something like that, and they're going to play him anyway. So that worries me enough to say the two of those things combined might make me turn away a little bit from Marshall. He could be an awesome pick, but there is, I think as long as TDK comes back, it's not going to be good for the Supercoach finals. If you could do a move where you had lots of trades and you were buying him in, and in 4 weeks' time you had enough trades to ship him out, and take the risk, I'd be saying, cool, I think it's fine. But if it's your last couple of trades, I'd be like, probably not. And Caleb Daniel, well, I think this is a decent pod pick. It's either him or Luke Parker that seem to go off every week. He does have the Lions' share of the kick-ins. Does he spray him a bit? Yeah. What's his scores been? What's his actually scores been like? I know he had a big one. Was it last week? I guess we could probably go on a Caleb Daniel. I've got him in some of my draft leagues, and I've been quite happy. So he's got a 149 and a 145 in the last 2 weeks. And how many kick-ins is that? Like 3 and 4. I mean, you can't really argue with that, right? If there's any reason that thinks he does that, he hasn't done that all season. This is the first time all season he's hit those scores, but I don't know if that means something's changed or he's just had a couple of good weeks that suit him. But I mean, that's their monster score. So, I mean, if he scored those for the rest of the season, he'd be the top defender. So I can understand why you'd think about going there. I'm not going to talk you out of it, and it'll be a nice pod as he won't be very well owned. Sheasel's 3-round average is 156. Yeah, Michael, that's why I think we don't give this man enough respect. He is now leading the Dennis Cometti medal in the Seano's team. So yeah, I think he deserves the captain to be on him this week. If the vice captain fails, I think he deserves to have the captain stuck on him for me. Duggan is shit and should get dropped, and Graham too. Corey, they're the two ones exactly who I'm thinking of. And I would been very critical of Liam Baker's kicking, but he's been a lot better last year. I mean, obviously you probably heard me. If you watch me enough, I've stated it many times that he was the absolute worst kick in the AFL last year. And that's not what I think. That's what the stats said. If you Google it or use your AI to look it up, who's the worst kick in the AFL 2025? Liam Baker's name comes up straight away. So that never filled me with a lot of confidence, but he's not there this year. He seems to be playing better, and he is a bit of a spiritual leader on the field. So, you need a few of those. You need a few guys to get the young guys up and going. So in that way, I'm happy for him to be on the field. I just wish he'd probably handball it a little bit more than kick the ball. Herbert's got the Lindsay role. He certainly does, Michael, and he looks like a beefy brick shithouse. So, I mean, I can't complain about him having the role, but I think, I think you can still find a spot for Lindsay, the team. Like we said, get rid of Duggan and let Lindsay and Herbert and play that role and put McCarthy in midfield. Not going to drop the captain. No, probably not going to drop the captain. Unfortunately, he probably should be dropped, but they're probably not going to drop the captain, unfortunately. Yeah. Wayne Malera means have to play a rookie. Yeah, can't decide what to do with Daniels, just short of JFH, Jason Francis as well. Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if they gave us a timeline with Daniels, but yeah, it's a tough one. I can understand. Calf, if you knew it was going to be 4 weeks, you'd instantly trade him, not a problem, and you would get whoever you got. Like last week, I had to get the Riley Thilthorpe, and it worked out for me, and I'm very happy, but it could have gone the other way. I was thinking about getting Jeremy Cameron, and we saw he looked really hurt tonight. It looked like he only had one arm, and yeah, that would have been a disaster because I could have also afforded him, and there was a few people I could have afforded, and yeah, Jeremy Cameron was one, and Riley Thrillthorpe was the other one, and I ended up going to Thrillthorpe, and it just kind of got lucky. Basically, there wasn't very much skill involved, and who can I afford, and I only had a couple of players to choose from. The fact that Riley's playing ruck again is making me very happy. Even though did I not see against in the ins, did they bring in Toby Murray? Did I not see that? Toby Murray. That means he won't be playing ruck this week, which is a bit disappointing, really, because I like it when he kind of plays a bit of extra ruck, unless they just play Toby Murray as a forward, which, I mean, I don't know enough about Adelaide to say that that's what's going to happen, but I really like the fact that, if Thrillthorpe is taking a few more ruck contests, it means he can get a few more points for me. Yeah, I can understand that's a pretty tough decision for you, Corey. If you're watching now, crew, don't forget to like. If you're hanging out with me, it doesn't hurt you to like, and we'll keep on chatting about the football. And we've still got time to pop your team up there and pop it on the screen, and we'll start doing those in a few minutes. Dersma was playing forward last week, so forced to trade him out before his cash dropped. Risk bringing in Chad Warner. And yeah, he's in your never again list. He's on my never again list too, but he's had a few really good weeks, and he's also getting the CBAs that he doesn't normally get, right? He's been up in his CBAs. Plus, he can kick goals. The thing is, he looks so dangerous every week. For Sydney, he's such an important player, but he doesn't always score super well in Supercoach. So the last 4 weeks, he's been around 70% CBAs for the last 4 weeks, which has probably been up about, over the last 8 or 9 weeks, that's about another 20 or 30% more than what he's been getting. And how's the uptick on his score? Yeah, so basically 4 weeks they've been up, and for 4 weeks he's got 119, 92, 111, 150. So it just shows. And then before those 4 weeks when it was up, he was getting around the 80s and the 90s as well. So as long as he keeps those CBAs, he could be a really good pick, and he can go big. So, I don't mind the Corey Warner pick, but he is also on my never again list with people like Shea Bolton, who are both having a decent season at the moment. Has a good run to come. North do. Just want a fun pick. Oh, Caleb Daniel has a good run. Why not? Yeah, it's a time of year. You're not going to if you're not making the top 10 or the top 100 or whatever, pick who you like. That's kind of why I picked the Thrillthorpe as well. I kind of like the way he plays, and, I know he can I know he can go big and everything. And I was kind of happy to have him instead of the pod, because as we explained why I'm down to 2 trades, because the pod was where Thrillthorpe was on the field there for me. And it would have meant that my M6 or my equivalent on my flex position would have been a non-playing player. And if any of these guys had an issue or anywhere had an issue and I didn't get the coverage out there, it would have been a big problem, and I would have had a 0. So that's what took me from 4 down to, instead of 3 trades, I had to go down to 2 trades. Hey, Mass. Yeah, I'm not too sure, Mass. I didn't see it happen. I watched the game, but the second half I was running around doing stuff and getting some food and getting ready to hang out with you guys. So I have to admit I didn't see much of the second half, just bits and pieces. So I didn't see the injury, but yeah, apparently there could be something. Are we a chance tomorrow, Michael, versus, is it Carlton? Oh, Adelaide. Oh, I don't think we're a chance, Michael. Adelaide are a good team. I think we forget that Adelaide finished top of the ladder at the end of the season last year. Like, yes, they didn't win the premiership, but they finished top of the ladder. When Adelaide play good, they play really good. So I don't think we have a chance tomorrow. I think And it scares the living crap out of me that my opponent has Jordan Dawson in our league match, and he's got the vice captain on him. It scares the living bejesus out of me that this here does. So I always like to say, I don't think we've got a chance. And then if we win, then it's then it feels good. But yeah, I honestly don't think we do have a chance tomorrow night. They're just a much better drilled team than we are. So I just think that they'll win. We might, hopefully we keep it close and don't get a flogging, but I'm not expecting to win. That's for sure. I guess if you say, are we a chance? We're always a chance, but I don't expect to win. Corey says, can't get Caleb Daniel anymore. Needed Holmes in the midfield. So forward has to be. So you got 527 to get a forward. Warner, Max Hall, Durham. Love picking Joe Richardson to go a few weeks ago. Yeah, Joe Richards. We talked a lot about Joe Richards, and at the time when there was a pick between him and who was the other cheap guy, and who we were talking about, who was playing in the mid. I think it was Daniels or Richards, and I was a bit of a Richards fan, which, I think they both got the role. That's exactly what we had, a big long conversation about who's got the role, and Richards and DeGoey both had the role. Max Hall, I think, is a sneaky pod pick, and I think can and will be very good for the rest of the season and in the future. Durham, I think, is safe. I think he's a safe pick. I think, that's good. And Warner, I think Warner is a sneaky pod pick. I don't think many people are going to have Warner even after those couple of big scores. The people who want him aren't going to be able to afford him. And let's see how he's owned by 7% of teams. And if he does have a really good end to the season, which you assume Sydney are going to come home really well, I think it's going to be pretty good. So, out of interest, how many CBAs did Callum Mills? Callum Mills took 63% CBAs last week. I meant to say Errol Goulden. Errol Goulden only took 31%. That's interesting. They threw Callum in the midfield last week for the first time pretty much this year. I didn't even realise that. And who lost out? Justin McInerney's been out a couple of weeks. So who else lost out who's been in it? No, James Jordan. Did James Jordan not play, or he just didn't tag? He didn't tag, so he's not in there. If James Jordan tags, he might be in there. Maybe that's the reason. But that's interesting. Dangerfield would have been a good pickup this week at 424 for this week. Yeah. Well, how about that first goal was a ripper after Brisbane? He really dragged them back into it. Brisbane were killing him until he kicked that beautiful goal. Hoff to tag Dawson. Yes, please, Michael. I thought of that myself. I don't know if he can go with Dawson. Brady Hoff, I think Dawson will tear him a new one. He'll just take him up forward and kick goals on him or take him down the back. I don't think Hoff has the skills to go with a tag on him, but I hope he does. This will be, if he can shut down Dawson, I mean, if you can shut down Dawson, you can almost shut down anyone, because he's just got so many avenues to scoring Dawson. So, hopefully, but I'm not counting my chickens. Hey, Lanzy, how you going? Nice to see you. Yeah, Goulden does start on the wing a lot. He does. Well, that's what he did. That's what he's done for the last few years, right? He started on the wing and he runs right to the centre bounces, which is still good because he's right there when the centre bounces happen. He's just running from the wing. But remember earlier on this year, in the preseason game, he played as a full-time in the guts midfielder. God, if he ever does that, if they ever allow him to do that, I mean, he's probably pretty valuable on the wing there as that connection guy. But oh my God, if they ever let him play as a full-time CBA in there all the time guy, he scores. He's just going to be one of these guys that gets 120, 130 every week. Goulden, they played more forward last week. Yeah, maybe they're just easing him back into it. Which could be good for us next season, right? It could be another, again, next season, maybe he's not 600,000. Maybe he's 520,000 or something, just like he was this year. Maybe we can have another go at getting him this season. I don't regret getting him this season. Besides, I mean, he got injured, but he looked really good, and I think he would have been a really good pick. Yeah, Jordan goes to Bont, and Callum Mills loses his CBAs probably, or splits them with Goulden kind of thing. And Callum Mills goes back to the back line, I guess. You tipped Brisbane by 21, and it was 20, and it was 22. Very nice, Corey. Very close for your tipping. Hopefully that. I mean, usually you have to get it almost exact, don't you, if you did win the big prizes? But pretty close. It has to be pretty close, especially if it comes down to like a draw at the end of the season or something. That could be the difference. Very well done. Karen, you like Goulden, but too risky. They'll rest him. Yeah. Plus, you're poor, only 25K in the bank with your 3 trades. Hey, Karen, you're poor with. I got $1,000, not 100,000, $1,000. Yeah, we can both go shopping at the Good Sandwich together if you like. I can share if you need a place to stay. You're always welcome to share my cardboard box. So your VC Dawson, not sure who to see, have set have St Kilda guy as your loop, or Bailey Banfield, I guess is what you mean. So you don't know who you're going to captain. Yeah, I'm pretty sold on these 2 choices, unless my opponent. So the thing is, my opponent's picked 2 players I don't have. So I can't even do the sneaky thing where I vice captain. Say if I had Nasai, I could vice captain him and then try with somebody else. This week, I think it's just going to come down to who, if your primos fail and if someone has a big captain score. If Dawson gets him 105 and does get tagged, and I have Gawn and gets me 175, I might win. But that's what it's going to take. And if he had Dawson, I think if Dawson gets him 135 with the primos he's got and the primos I got, there's not much I can do. There's not much I can do to win. Goulden 51% forward eligible. Yeah, let's keep that up for the rest of the season. You're listening to me, Dean Cox, as a ex-Eagles man to an Eagles supporter. Leave Goulden up forward, at least 35% or more, and then the beginning of next year, 100% of teams. He'll be the Harry Sheezel of next year. If Goulden's a forward, he'll be the Harry Sheezel of next year. I'm telling you right now, he'll be the most picked player in the game. He has to be, right? Because you look at the forwards now, Harry Sheezel ain't going to be a forward next year. He's going to be straight up mid, and I still probably going to buy him. Horn Francis, he's not going to be a forward next year. He's going to be a straight up mid. And he could be tempting to buy. Pickett, more than likely, probably going to be a straight up mid and not a forward. Petrarca, now that they're playing him forward back a little bit, he might hold his mid forward status. Maybe. Durham probably won't. And Thrilltop obviously will. But so out of our big primo forwards with dual position status, at the moment, Petrarca is the only one who looks like he might, and the way he's scoring, you might not want him anyway. So it could be good for next year, yeah, Corey. Like exactly, like number 1 pick, right? If Goulden is a forward, he will be my number 1 pick. And then here's an interesting conversation for you, crew. Who's going to be? So obviously you want to start. We learn our lessons this year. We start with the best of the best midfielders, but you can't afford all of them. So I did a little thing in my brain where I was like, so who are the midfielders next year that I'm going to have to choose out of? Well, I think Butters, Bont, and Dacos. Well, they're locked in. They're 3 that are most likely going to be in the talking points of next year of who's going to be in the starting team. At best, you could probably have 3, maybe 4. But then I think Sheezel and maybe even Noah Anderson, the 5 of those guys, you're going to want all 5, but you're not going to be able to afford all 5. So you're probably going to have to pick 3, potentially 4 out of those 5. And I was trying to think if there was anyone else, but I was thinking those are the guys that I'm thinking that, if they're 600K, I'm probably just paying up for them. I know they're going to come down, but it is the starting team. We learn our lesson this year. We'll get the big dogs and we'll go guns and rookies and we'll just have them in the team. But yeah, I'm thinking that those are the guys, those are the ones that I really want, but I don't know which ones I will pick. Zach Bailey, hamstring tightness, apparently. At least it's only tightness, which means they might give him 1 week off and he could be back, or he might even be back. Karen, yep, Banfield, the St Kilda guy. You projected like 400 extra more to win your matchup. That's really nice, Corey. I wish I was. I'm predicted to lose by about 50 points, which is, we know it's not much, but it makes a lot closer than what I'd like it to be. I wish it predicted me to win by 400 points. And especially because you guys know I'm very serious about my league and what I want to win. I'm in big trouble if I lose. I'm in big trouble every week now, especially with 2 trades. As you can see, I'm in. If it's already got me as losing because this is the live ladder. We can go to round 16, I guess. So I'm in 8th, but potentially I could drop down as to 10th. Maybe further depending on how how the percentage is. If he gives me a bit of a smacking, this guy, maybe he beats my percentage. So I probably can go down as low as 10th, and my mission is now just to make the top 8 for the end of the season. So this is a very important game, and it's going, like I said, it's going to come down to captains, I think. Captains, and the fact hopefully he's really good primos. His primos that are better than my primos aren't going to go crazy. And maybe, maybe a Sam Walsh can go crazy against Richmond and get 150 or something. And maybe Callahan can get more than 105. Heaney as well, yep. So he was the other one, Lansy. I knew I forgot someone. He's the other one that I have in there as well, who will be in a very much a talking point for your starting 3 or 4 mids. Yeah, good call, buddy. Next year, I'm definitely starting Jackson. Not sure about Grundy. Won't be starting Sherry unless I see something very different. I might just go Gorn again. Every time we write Gorn off, he kills it. Like, he's been better than Grundy this year. So every year we're like, oh, he's too old, maybe he's no good, and he just kills it. So maybe I just go Jackson and Gorn. Maybe I don't fight it. Don't fight it next year. But we'll see. Butters, depending on where he goes, will be interesting too. Yeah, that could be a call, actually. It could be very interesting, Corey. If he goes somewhere that there's a lot of competition for midfield spots, maybe he's not so much a one-man show like he is at Port. I mean, at Port, it's really him and Horn Francis, right? They're the 2 main men. If he went, where else? Say he went to Hawthorn or something like that, maybe his scoring wouldn't be as big. He'd have to share with, they share the ball around a lot more. They got Will Day and Newcomb and stuff. I don't know who. Are there rumours on where he's thinking about going? But, I'd be less, if he went to Hawthorn, I'd be less inclined to pick him. But if he went to somewhere like, I don't know, where's the team? If he went to like Essendon or something like that, I'd be picking him in a second, probably. No ruck nonsense again. No, definitely no ruck nonsense, Lansy. I'm not doing that next year. If there is a cheap like McAndrew option, he'll be going in either the flex or the 3 or in R3, and I'll be having the 2 gun rucks. Must have had 6 or 7 trades in the rucks this year. Crazy. Nick Martin. Yep, Nick Martin will be one of the first picked as well. Yeah, he will. Hopefully, he'll get a discount as well, so he won't be. What's he actually priced at now? We have a bit of a think about what he might be. Nick is at 520 now, so if he gets a small discount for being, not playing any games, he could be 500k. At 500k, I mean, that's going to be your forward line, Goulden and Nick Martin. They'll be the 2 guns with a spattering of, rookies and maybe a mid-pricer. That'll be it. That'll be it. It'll be a pretty cookie cutter midfield forward line because that's what everyone will do. On Mass, with a couple of trades left, you'll be holding Bailey, playing Herbert or Fitzgerald on field. Yeah, I mean they said it's just awareness. So, and you said a couple of trades. You mean 2 trades? Yeah, Herbert and Fitzgerald. I mean, Bailey can score a 150, but he can also score a 70, and Herbert and Fitzgerald can also score a 50 or a 70. I mean, a 70 on their day. So that's why we got him. I'm very happy with my coverage. I wish I had Herbert, but I got HK, Hawker Hahn, Fitzgerald, and Sharp, who I think can all get me reasonable scores. And I love the fact that if you haven't seen the DPP, who's going to get DPP, and that's next round. So after this round, between rounds 17 and 18, Sharp is almost guaranteed to get it. Long as he doesn't not a late out, he plays this game. He will get DPP, and I'll be able to swap him with Bamfield, and that's how I'm going to get myself a little bit of coverage for the forward line. And then I'm going to pray for no injuries. Save my 2 trades, and that way I'll have. But if it's like just what you said, Corey, say I have Durham go down for 1 match or 2 matches, I'll just play Sharp on the field and I'll wait it out. And I think that's what you got to do at this time of the season, unless you've got a lot of trades. And depending on, trades and what you're doing, whether you're trying to win your leagues or you're trying to go for overall score. You knew you didn't like exit preseason. This serves it right. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like it, and I was worried, and I didn't pick him. And then he got that 200, and I picked him, and then he wiped blood on someone's face, and I traded him out. So I don't know. But next year, we kind of know what we predicted did come right, and it wasn't as obvious for the beginning of the season. Let's put it that way. It wasn't as obvious. He could still capable of going big in occasionally, but he's going to be a lot more unpredictable. He's not going to be 150 every week. He's going to be 150 one week and 70 or 80 or 100 the next week, where somebody else might be able to go. Luke Jackson, Sean Darcy, or no Sean Darcy is probably going to be a 110, 115 guy almost every week. Butters is linked to Western Bulldogs. Western Bulldogs already have a lot of mids. That's interesting. Butters and Bond together. Oh, ooh. That's going to be an interesting combination if that happens. Tom Green. I'm not picking Tom Green, Corey, because he is the same as these. He's not the midfielder that I want to go for, unless if he's very cheap, I'll get him. But he's more of the midfield bull types, which we've shown the new game doesn't favour them as much as the Noah Anderson types, the outside and inside players. He's more of a, mostly on the inside, like the Rao. So I'm thinking Tom Green is exactly the same as Rao. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they're very similar type players. They're very much inside, grunt, get the ball. So I'm thinking his ceiling may be capped a little bit next year. And so unless he's very cheap, like if he's 450, give him to me. If he's 450 to 500, okay. So he's 599. So even with a discount, he still might be 550 to start the season. He might not even, but he might be at best. I think we get him for 540 or something, even with a discount for not playing. So at that price, I think I'll prefer to go to the more outside players. Like that's why I put Noah Anderson, who I think is maybe a little bit of a stretch in with those other guys that we talked about. I just think he's scoring, and I probably missed Jordan. The thing with Jordan Dawson is he's awesome every year, but at the same time, I think you always get him at 550, and he doesn't always have the blast to start off the season. But he is also a talking point for being in those beginning players. Michael, Shauna, when you look at your team, can you tell me if you think, I think it's about time we look at people's teams. I think we should do, otherwise we'll be here all night. Trade Murdoch down to Herbert. All right. So I saw you put your team in twice, Michael. So I think you're a couple down. So let's get on with it, crew. You're still time to let me know if you either pop your team here in the Discord. Still time to like. If you haven't already liked, do that now. How many likes we got? Before we go and start looking at everyone's team, we got 8 likes and we have 19 people watching. So come on, like these awesome people, not just for me, but for these people who have the courage and the cojones to put their teams in and let me show their team on the screen. And yeah. And Mass, here is your team. I know you're here in chat, Mass. So you're only a couple away, Michael. So we'll get to you very soon. So what are you saying? Team complete, couple of injury trades less. And you were just saying not long ago, with a couple of trades left, you'll be holding Bailey. Except, yep, you got Zach Bailey there. Okay, so Wangalei Malera, I wish I could get him, but I can't. I'm jealous of all you crew out there have got him. I don't wish any injuries on him, but I really hope Hoff. Oh, no, I was going to say Hoff, but that's for Dawson. So I hope he gets tagged. So I'm sorry. I apologize to all the watchers out there, but everyone got in Wanganeen Malera. I feel like the only human on earth that doesn't have Wanganeen Malera at the moment. So yeah, I kind of secretly hope that he gets tagged, whatever position. I know it's kind of impossible when he's going to be playing the back line for Sinclair or whatever, but I can dream. Let me dream. Just let me dream, okay? Holmes, Ash, Whitfield, Blakey, and Clark. I think that's fine. Hopefully this is a turning point for Clark. Let's touch wood so he doesn't get like 20 points next week when I say that. Hopefully he can string a run of hundreds together. I mean, God knows us buyers deserve it. Blakey, very unlucky. I don't know if you got him in last week, but they delivered a 64. Lots of coverage here. So you got lots of coverage. That's nice. You're ranked, by the way, congrats on your ranks, mate. You've had a great season. 324 is a really, really good rank. And you've got well done. Just pat yourself on the back right now. Well done for a great season. You still got 8 games to go, but you've had an amazing season so far. So be very proud of how you've done. Seano's proud of you, like a happy father, in a weird kind of way. Heaney, Butters, Smith, Dacos, Bont, Horn, Francis, Walsh, and Steele. You know what? It's a little bit different to other midfields, which means it's kind of be good. Do you have all the big, the big dogs that everyone wants? Maybe not. But if you guys go off, if Steele starts, killing it for the last half of the season, and Walsh has been pretty good the last few weeks under the new Carlton, whatever happened there, this is a way that you could actually gain ranks, Hopefully you will. Lots of coverage on the bench, which is lovely. Gawn, Jackson with ZZ there, sitting there. Sheasel, Bailey, Pickett, Petrarca, Bailey Williams, and the Thrillthorpe. Hopefully he continues to do well for both of us, and Grundy on the bench. Yeah, I love it, mate. I love it, and I really hope that you do well. And maybe, what do you reckon? Top 100? How many points are you away from top 100? Do you know? Have you worked out? You've got 33,630. Is top 100 34,000? Is it just a couple of good captain scores away from being in the top 100? But I think you got a pretty good team, mate. And I think a few pods, which means you could be catching people. Steele, not a lot of people are going to have Steele. Bailey Williams is still going to be a bit of a pod. Riley Thrillthorpe is going to be a bit of a pod. So I think you've got a few which could help you jump the spots. He didn't jump in the preseason match versus D's, was at that game. You're talking about the Big X, I assume, Corey? Yeah. We kind of predicted it, right? We all predicted it. We're all worried about all the rucks, but he's obviously the one that affected the most. Who would have thought he was taking, what did he take, like something stupid like 10% CBAs last week? Right, Cheese, I don't know if you're with us, Mr. Cheese. Always good to see you. Have I seen you in chat yet? So, the Cheese Man. Rank 16,212, also not a bad rank. I would not be disappointed with all this rank. Even I've seen a lot of content creators they're like, oh, I'm ranked in 15,000, I'm unhappy, it's whatever. If you're ranked at 15,000, you're top 10%, that's very good. You're beating 170, 180,000 people. So, It's very good. Let me tell you right now. If you can rank under the top 15,000 every year, you're a very good player. Wangani, Malera, yeah, there we go. Malera, Holmes, Ash, Euland. I like the Euland pick. I think it's interesting. Not too sure what's happening on with him and Noble, but Euland's been very consistent around this 101 average, which is probably what you're going to get with some decent scores. So a nice little pod pick could help you out. Whitfield and Clark, HK and Ryan. You've got Heaney, Butters, Smith, Dacos, Anderson, Bont, Richards, and LDU. I like that. I like Richards as a pick. I think, yes, he's been a bit up and down this year, but he can go a really big. He's got a very high ceiling that I like with Ison and Herbert. Jackson and Sherry. Sherry's back this week, so hopefully all that stuff that we just talked about, Sherry doesn't happen and he goes big. Sheasel, Bailey, Pickett, Petrarca, Durham, McKercher, and Neil. Did Neil do okay tonight? Lockie Neil got 109. Can't complain. Can't complain with 109. Very nice. And you're going to, if Bailey's out next week, you don't have any coverage, but you've got a playing flex. So, should be good. Hey, there you are, Mass. Last year, worst year at 1,085. You're at 16,000 now. If you've got a few trades up your sleeve, buddy, I think you can go. Top 500 is a high aim, but it's good to aim high. I think, I think it's possible. I don't think it's impossible, as Ralph Wiggum would say, but I think it's possible. But you're gonna have to have a few things go right for you. All right, Michael, we got you now, and then you asked, when you look at my team, can you tell me if you think I should trade Murdoch down to Herbert? How many trades do you have? Would leave you with 4 trades but no forward DPP swing. All right. So Wanganeen, Ash, Dale, Whitfield, Blakey, HK. So that's nice. Ranked 28,000, still better than me. Dirksen and Anuya, nice coverage here. So your back line is sorted, and you do have a bit of mid-swingy action going on here, but you've got Malera there, but you don't have Holmes, by looks things. Okay. Butters, Smith, Dacos, Callahan, LDU, Rao, Walsh, and Sarong. So Murdoch, Blamiers, and Ison. So I assume Blamiers is not playing this week. Gorn, Jackson with White, Sheasel, Pickett, Petrarca, Williams, Durham, Smith, Pod, and Henry. And you've got Bont down here. Okay. So you can't, even if you have an injury in the forward line, they're all mid forward. So you're thinking you just bring Murdoch down and play for them and bring them up there. Okay. Okay. It would be, I was trying to think, is there any way that you can go like Blamiers instead? Go Blamiers down to, or Blamiers, down to, even if you brought HK, I don't know how much money you got in the bank, but I mean, in the perfect world where you've got lots of money, you drop Blamiers, bring HK into the midfield and get Holmes in the back line, but you might not be able to afford that. That's in the perfect world where you've got lots of money. So, I think you might be in a situation that I am in where you got 4 trades left after this. If I was going to drop anyone, it would probably be Blamiers, because you don't need HK to come back in the midfield here, because, well, one, he's playing on the field, you're going to want him on the field, and 2, I would be getting rid of Blamiers for Herbert. I'd be banking the money that gives you 200K or whatever, and you said that gives you 4 trades, and then you've got 3 playing players here, 2 players covered for there. You don't have any coverage like me here. but you do have your flex or whatever. Oh, so then you do have coverage. And you got Murdoch that can come down and play over here. So you're keeping Murdoch. You're going to use him for coverage. You've got 4 trades for injury trades. And then you've also got a couple of 100K in the bank, and then with that couple of 100K in the bank, you can think about what you're going to do. Maybe Blamires, is he on extended list? Is that why he's not showing? You're going to say to me, hey, Seano, he's actually going to play. He's on the extended list. Yeah, here we go. So that's what's going to happen, is it? So he's played the last few weeks, right? So the chances are he's probably going to play again this week. All right. Yeah, okay. I see what you mean. We'll play this week, standard squad. Thank you, Corey. I worked it out, and then you told me the answer. I always do that. I work it out in my brain, and I look down and like, oh, I could have just read chat, and somebody would have told me. I'm not too sure, to be honest, mate. It looks like you've got full coverage then. The only thing is, if you were going, I'd still say then, I still think, I don't know what he's breaking, how much money is, because you don't need the coverage in the back line. You've got Dirksen and Anand covering. I would still, if you're worried about the coverage, I would get rid of Blamires still for Marcus and use Murdoch to cover if any of these guys are out. That's just what I would do, and I would bank the cash, and then maybe in a couple of weeks' time, maybe Ollie Franco, the other West Coast Eagle, our mate, you could go Ison down to him, and then maybe you've got enough money to go on top of a Dirksen or a HK or an Arndt up to a Holmes or somebody like that. And you really, if you can get a Holmes in by the end of the season, that'd be nice for like your Supercoach finals or whatever. If this was my team, that was what I would do, buddy. I mean, I know Murdoch's been scoring shit. Has Blamires been scoring much better? Has he been doing much better? Because he's not playing on your field, so I guess it doesn't really matter. He's got 75. He's got a 98, a 75, and a 57. Break even of 68. So you know what else you can do, buddy? You don't have to trade this week. I really like Herbert, but Franco could be good. Just hold your trades for a couple of weeks and do the same maneuver, but in 2 or 3 weeks' time. Hold your trades, and then if Ollie Franco, I'm pretty sure I'm saying his name right. He does play for West Coast, so I should probably try and get his name right. Oliver Franco or Franco. So yeah, and then maybe hold your trades and do the same thing in a few weeks' time. And if for some reason there's a disaster and a forward goes out, then you've got the coverage there. And by that time, Murdoch might lose some money, but Blamires might go up some money. So it might equal out. Okay. So, I'm thinking that, 60, what do we say it was? 68. So he may or may not get his break even. 68. So he hasn't done that too often, has he? 659. He's been in pretty good form the last couple of weeks, but then he's also got a 57. So I think either way is fine, mate. If it got you your upgrade this week, if it got you Holmes this week in the back line, I'd say I'd be doing it. If it doesn't get you who you want this week, and probably not for a few weeks, I'd probably be just holding my trades. And of course, it depends what you want to. If you want to win your leagues or your overall score, but your overall score is not going to change much if you get that 200K in the bank and it just sits in your bank for a few weeks. So the only thing is if you want both. That's the question to ask. If you want to do Blamire, I still think Blamires is the better one to go. Now I've seen his break in 68. I would do Blamires because you've got more coverage in the back line. I would do Blamires down to Marcus Herbert, and then in a few weeks, in 2 weeks' time, if Ollie Franco is playing in the Eagles, he's playing very well, he's getting decent scores, go Ison, because Ison's not going to get DPP. He hasn't played enough games. So go Ison down to Franco. You'll have 3 playing guys, all West Coast Eagles, which is kind of going to be weird. And then you'll be able to go potentially up from a Hawker Hahn or one of these guys to somebody that you really want, to a primo player. That'll be what I do, mate. You do what you think what best do. All right, Lanty, your team might be next. Hope that was helpful, buddy. Corey, here's your team, ranked 27K. Lancy says, yeah, with the new sub 5 rule, more rucks are sharing the load. So I guess your preseason predictions were they were partly correct. Lancy, I will take that our preseason predictions were partly correct with the rules. We were right in some things, we were wrong in others. We were right that the lack of CBAs, we're probably wrong that the lack of CBAs made a big difference to most rucks, but we didn't predict that Sherry couldn't jump. Who could have predicted Sherry that a huge monster like Sherry could not jump, and that was going to have a massive effect on him? But things like we predicted that, that was going to affect all rucks and stuff, and that just really hasn't happened as much as what we thought it was going to do. All right, my friend Corey, let's have a look. What are your plans? 4 trades, and you got 13K to get. Not sure who to get down for Daniels. We'll need to use 2 trades when you got 4 trades. All right, we'll get through the top of the team, or the defense, and we'll get to the problems. Holmes, Ash, Wilmot, Blakey, Clark, Houston, Will Edwards. You got Malera coming back next week, so that's fine. You've got almost an extra defender, which is good, and Will Edwards, I think, is pretty solid in that team now. I don't think he's going anywhere. Sheasel, Butters, Smith, Dacos, Bont, Goulden, Neal, Callahan, HK, Ison, Fitzgerald all playing. Jackson and McAndrew, nice. DeGoey, Reed, Richards, Thomas. Thomas has been actually sneaky good. Sparrow, Daniels, and Dirksen down here. Have you thought of normally you get 30% discount? So that happens is that Green you're talking about would be $4.19? If Green was $4.19, I think he's almost a mid-pricer. I think if Green is at full power at 400, if he's less than 450, I'd probably get him. Put it that way, Corey. Yeah, with his, I think he can still score the same as Rao, like 100 to 105 every week. So if I can get that for 450 or less, I'll buy that for the beginning of the season, not a problem. And I'll call it a mid-pricer. I'll call it an expensive mid-pricer or a cheaper primo. I don't know which one it is. A fallen primo maybe. And Nick Martin would be 364K. I think, Corey, quite often before they put the discount on, they put the prices up. So I don't think they'll be that cheap. I hope they are, but I don't think they will. You ever notice, like this year, if Bont finishes at 600K this year, it'll be 650K to buy him in next year. So I think maybe they adjust that way, and then maybe they put the 30% on. It just seems like, I don't know, it seems like if they're that cheap, we'll just get them. You're playing AFL Fantasy 893. Nice. Overall, your best year ever. Feel you can keep going up heaps. Nice. I'm down in the ranks, but I'm getting big scores every week. I feel like I've got a very good team in fantasy. So have you thought of, without Daniels, you kind of got an extra defender, which I'm sure you know, Corey. Any chance of booting a Houston or even a Malera if you don't trust him to come back and do good, and just getting yourself a gun forward for Daniels? You got DeGoey, Reed, Richards, Harvey Thomas. I mean, maybe Jason Horn-Francis. I mean, do you trust Houston's going to be able to deliver you this money every week? I think Collingwood brought in another defender, a new guy. I looked this guy up. He's a defender. Where we go? I was like, who the f is this guy? Because I thought about bringing him in AFL fantasy. Calling Liam Puncher. He's a defender. So they brought in another defender. I don't know. But yeah, if I had your team, I'd be seriously considering shoring up, because your back line looks all right. Shoring up my forward line a little bit, getting a big dog in the forward line. Darren, you confused in your VC and captain Dawson, Nick Dacos, Jackson, Gorham, Bond. Yeah, thanks for calling me. You're the great man. Thank you, you legend, Darren. I think captains and vice captains are very tricky, and it's very open, and there's going to be a lot of people like me in our league matches that's what it's going to come down to. And I think there's a lot of good choices, buddy, and all the ones you named, I think are very good options. They've all got their pros and their cons. I personally am going Gorn into Sheasel. So, but I think it's a crapshoot, mate. I think a lot of those guys, I mean, I'm saying that, but I mean, if we go, let's say you go into list view and you go 3-round average, you got someone like Harry Sheasels on a, 156 3-round average. You got a Nick Dacos is on a 142 3-round average. And, then I'm going the fourth one down the track here, Max Gorn. Like all those guys, they're all on like 135 plus averages. Like, and we're not even talking about the Bont. And last time, yes, Jordan went to Bont, but Bont destroyed him and got like 160 or something. What did Bont get on? He got the Jordan tag and he absolutely annihilated him. I don't want to look like that. I don't want to look like that. I want to look like this. He got 135. He got against him. So Jordan tag, no Jordan tag. So Darren, I think it's a tricky question, and it's so tricky that I changed. I put out my captains and trades videos. So if you haven't already watched my previous videos, it'd be awesome if you guys and girls could do that. Go back, give them a like, even if you don't watch them. Just go back there, give them a like. Say thanks for that, Seano. And I went through and I said these are my best picks. And now I've changed my mind. And now, as soon as I saw the teams come out and I saw there's only one ruck for Hawthorn, I think I'm going to back in Gorn. But I reckon this is against two rucks, this 118. Round 10, 2026. I guess I could probably look. Hawthorn's team, round 10. If I go to, what's the best way to do this here? CBA's, Hawthorn, round 10. They had Ned Reeves did 62 and Meek did 38%. So they had the two rucks and they had the two rucks. And looks like Ned Reeves has been more of the main man and Lloyd Meek's just kind of been helping out a little bit. So I don't know whether that means he's the better ruck or he just plays better up forward. But to me, I'm thinking that I'm going to have a swing with this. But I think any of those names you named, Darren, could all go really big. So I think it's a tricky week. I think you're just going to have to, you can analyze it as much as you like. You can look at the tags, whatever, but it's going to come down to a bit of luck, I think. And I think probably the safest fallback option is not super safe anyway. I think Sheasel, I mean, what's it's gone 134, 135, and 119 against who do they play? Is it Essendon? No. It gets Port. She's against Port. I mean, there's always a chance that they could get like Drew runs with him a little bit or something, but then the same goes for all the other teams. So There's a chance if you've got Dawson that Brady Hoff runs through with him. Gold Coast, do Gold Coast ever tag? Probably not, but maybe they try it against Dacos. You never know. I think they're all decent options. I think Luke Jackson is a very good option too against he tore Briggs. I think it is a new one. Last time they played, 143 points. So the only thing with Jackson is it's still out whether Darcy still they're going to give him a little bit more CBAs, or they're just going to give him those 30% CBAs, which is still more CBAs than what Cox was getting. So does that mean when I look at Gawn and Jackson, I just think there's a little bit more chance that Gawn goes massive, like a 160 or 170, than Jackson does this week, where I think Jackson is super consistent. He's going to get you 110 to 130, maybe one up to 140, and you're never going to give away 120 plus. Gawn, I think there's an outside chance if Melbourne play well and their midfield gets a lot of his hit outs, so he gets a lot of hit outs to advantage, that Gawn scores a couple of goals or something, that Gawn could go massive. But then that's just what I think. There's no reason why Jackson can't go massive too. Jackson goes rest forward, kicks 3 goals and scores 170 as well. So I don't know. It's tricky. I could talk about it all night because it's very tricky. Cheers, Mike. Brought in Nas this week. Nice. If Lemires gets dropped, you're thinking about moving him on? Yeah. Even for me too, Michael, it's about the money situation and what you want to achieve. I think if getting, because I think Marcus Herbert's going to be so good, I would be tempted if I had more than 5 trades, I'd be getting him this week for sure. I've only got 2 trades. I can't do it with 2 trades. Even if I had 4 trades, I still might consider getting him this week, just because I think about how convenient it is to have a rookie that gets you 70, every week. And he might not do that, but that's the type of guy that he looks like he's going to be. And then, especially now that Franco's been named, I would be in, because there's no guarantee that I think Artemis might not play this year now. Unless Essendon just give him a couple of games at the end of the season. That would be actually brilliant. Give him, when there's 2 games left of the season, give Artemis a bit of a run and then bring him in next season after a full preseason. Because if they bring him in with 4 weeks to go, they're going to ruin his price for us for next year. But he's had 2 little injuries now, Artemis, and I got a feeling he might not get a game, maybe, or they'll probably do that, throw him in at the end. Landsy, here you are, buddy. Here you are, mate. Malera would be your flex. Houston was hard to run. Has a hard run too, but unsure what to do. Could trade down Herbert, Houston, and going big dog leg. Yeah, I'd consider that, Corey, if I was in your position. You seem to have a very solid defense. Even though I heard in the injury list that Hinge is out for Adelaide, which means Hinge is out. So if he stays out for a while, there's a little bit more ball to share around between the Worrells and the Maleras of the world. So potentially lets him get back to that high scoring that he had before. All right, Landsy, buddy. Ranked 11,000. Very nice rank, mate. Very, very nice. Holmes, Ash, Whitfield, Blakey, Clark, Houston, Dirksen and Oliver, who are both playing. So very nice. Heaney, Butters, Dacos, Bont, Merritt, Callahan, Sarong, HK, and you got Burton, Fitzgerald, and Herbert. Also very nice. Jackson and Grundy, Sheasel, Horn Francis, Bailey, Pickett, Petrarca, Rank, and Gawn. I think that's a very nice team, mate. I think don't be worried too much about Rank. He will come back. Rankanen, he'll be back soon to his, come back from injury and everything. I think he'll be back. He'll probably tear the Eagles a new one tomorrow night. So, yep, don't be surprised if that happens. I won't be. Yep, you got a really nice team, mate. You're doing well. I don't think you had any questions. You were just asking. You're just showing off. Karen, you traded in Keane and Luke Parker. Oh, I don't know if I love. Actually, that whole injury thing we just talked about Keane could work out, but I don't know if I love going after him after just one big score. But last week for Sinclair, you did 6 trades, last 2 buy rounds, and still plummeted 19k places. Yeah, buys are like that, Karen. A lot of time, I guess the best advice for future years is you're going to be a lot very up and down in the buys. Now is when you really find out how your team's going. This is where I'm a little bit scared about how my team looks, and I'm really gonna, I think I'm gonna cop a little bit of a whacking with my team, like against teams who look like who I play this week in my league matchup. I think a lot of them are going to give me a bit of a whacking. Anybody else would like me to look at your team? You can always put it in the chat if you don't have Discord, and we can look it up that way. Yep. Obviously, I don't get to see your trades and the other interesting stuff, but we can still do it that way. If you do not have access to Discord, just let me know. We can do that. I'm just gonna have a bit of a drink. Sorry about that. At least I'm not slurping on my coffee on the microphone like I used to do in the old days. Corey says you can do Houston. Let's go back to your team, Corey. Oh, no. Here you are. You can do Houston to Herbert. Yep. Move HK back. Yep. Daniels to Jason or France. Perfect 158.6 for trades in future weeks. And play Edwards versus the Dogs at HK. I got off Houston a few weeks ago and I was a happy man. Now, I know he's had a few good weeks, but I mean, I would be doing that. I trust Jason Horne-Francis and his role a lot more than Houston and his role. I think Jason Horne-Francis will outscore Houston for the rest of the season significantly. And I still think Jason Horne-Francis has a sneaky big 140 or 150 under his belt. If he gets a few goals, he gets a 25 possession game and a few goals, and it could be a big game around the corner. It might not be, but he has it under his belt, where I think he's more likely to be a steady scorer with a big one under his belt, where Houston has got a 50. He's got a 50 around the corner. You don't know when it's going to be, but it's going to be. Now, Houston could also score a 130 or a 140, but I think the chances of Horne-Francis doing it a lot more, and I think the chances of Horne-Francis dropping you a disgusting 50 are less. Even though he did drop me like 3 disgusting 70s in a row, I think, I still think I like that better. It just makes your team a little bit more solid in the forward line. You got plenty of firepower in the back line, so I think that would be fine. You can go Nass and move Sheasel forward. Oh, if you can get Nass in your team, get Nass in your team and move Sheasel forward instead of getting Horne-Francis. Oh, wow. I mean, I've got a little bit of Nass envy about everybody else that's got Nass, so I would like Nass in my team. So I'd seriously consider doing that as well and using Sheasel in your forward line. I think they're both really good options, but I think Nass has higher potential than both of them. If you're basically getting rid of Houston and getting Nass instead of getting rid of Houston and getting Horne-Francis, I mean, Nass has got the much. I mean, yeah, I just think Nass has a huge ceiling. He has a massive ceiling. He also can get tagged, but there's no. If Horne-Francis starts killing it, there's no reason that they don't tag Horne-Francis either. And we know Horne-Francis don't handle a tag very well either. They're both kind of the same in that way. They both don't handle a tag very well. But I think Nass running off the halfback line is it's a scary fade for me. It really does scare the crap out of me not having Nass. Hey, Hoof. G'day to you too. Brought in Dunkley this week. Very happy you got 110. Very nice. Hey, I tell you what, if anyone jump on Will Ashcroft at 450 a few weeks back, if you had, you're a genius. He's been killing it, right? He got another decent 100 this week. 118. Yeah, good old Will Ashcroft, right? He's been very good these last few weeks. And Dunkley, what'd you say? You got 110. Very nice. Very, very nice. So instead of going the old luggage, I should have gone Will Ashcroft. Would have been a much happier man. I would have been a much happier man at this stage of Supercoach. He's a tackling machine. Yep, he is indeed. Hopefully Bailey is all right with a hamstring tightness. Yeah, tightness. I mean, saying tightness, you hope that that's 1 week at the worst. Karen, you got Carlton's Hewitt? Yeah, nice. I think he's a good pick. He's a good pod, and I think he could be good for the rest of the season. If Carlton keep up playing well, couldn't really understand. We had a joke between me and my friends. We thought that maybe he slept with the coach's daughter or something. How your best player from the last season couldn't even get a game this season. It just didn't really make sense. And they bring him in and he starts killing it straight away, and Carlton start winning every game. I mean, he looks like their best midfielder almost, right? And that's a big call when they got Cripps and Walsh in the team, and they bring in Hewitt, and he almost looks like. Now, I think his game is what we talked about earlier on, like the Noah Anderson. I think his game maybe suits the new rules a little bit better. But then he had a great season last year, wasn't he? I think he was leading all the midfielders over the first 5 rounds or something last year. So you know what he's capable of. I think he's a great pod, and I think it's a very good pick, Karen. The dudes, that's right. Let's. I might already have you as a rival. The dudes, there you are. So Noble, bit unfortunate with Noble, Karen. It was a good pick, and he was killing it, and all of a sudden he's just fallen off a cliff edge. So it's a bit rude by the old Noble. They're a bit like Gold Coast in themselves, who are kind of falling off a cliff. Parker and King, yeah, 43. It's always a bit dangerous jumping on them after one good game. There's so many people back there, and that I haven't liked any of the Adelaide defenders all year just because there's so many of them back there. But he does take a lot of kick-ins, so hopefully you can start getting your decent scores again. You got Dale coming back in your team this week, obviously. Sarong, Dirksen, Perez, and Lindsay. So, yep, a little bit light there in the back line, but, you got time. You got time. Season's not over yet. You Dawson, Heaney, Butters, Anderson, Hewitt, Davies, Dersma coming. Obviously, Bont comes back on the field here. And you've got Dersma. You got a Fitzgerald. So this week, you getting yourself a a Herbert this week maybe for a Cumming or Dersma? I think, can't forget. You got rid of Perez. Got rid of Perez, and you got, who'd you get? Gawn, Grundy, Sheasel, Bailey, Petrarca, Williams, Smith, Murdoch, Trelaw, and Robertson. You still got Robertson. You like me, I kept Robertson for ages. And HK down here in your defence. Traded Dersma to Franco. Yep, sounds about it. Made 300k. That's very nice. And then you said you got, so that Hewitt last week. So you got rid of Perez, and who'd you get? Oh, you got Warner. You got Chad Warner. Instead of maybe Trelaw there or something like that. Got rid of Trelaw, get Warner, use Murdoch as a bit of cover with Banfield. You have nice coverage. You got a reasonable forward line. You got coverage. You got the big dudes. You got HK down there to cover at the back and everything. Yep, shuffled. Nice. Looks like you kind of set up your team, which you kind of have to do at this time of year. Set up nicely for your run to the end of the season. You got some coverage. Hopefully, you got a few trades at least. And yeah, yep, you're nice to set. Hoof, the projected scores for most teams in my league seem unrealistic high. I reckon 2,400 will end up being about top 10% for the round. Uh, so many 2,600 scores. Yeah, Hoof, that's probably correct. Yeah, I'm at 2,547 and I'll be ecstatic if I get that. But if players go off, this is the time of year where the team of the round will score like 2,007, 8 or 800 plus, like between 2,700 and 3,000. But a good score is probably 2,400 plus. So if you know what I mean, like the best score of if you just happen to have all the random players like the team of the week normally does, and they all score like massives, including your rookie, some random rookie you never ever heard of they've got who scores like 105 or something. They're the teams, they'll score 2008, 2009, but they might have a ranking of, 70,000 or 50,000 or whatever. Whereas I think a normal, you know, like I said, if I get anywhere near 2,500, I expect that to be a top 10% score easily. And yeah, so I think 2,000. I think if you score more than 2,400 from here on in, yeah, that's pretty good, and you'll go up. You if you score unless you're in the top like 1,000, if you score 2,400 plus, you'll definitely go up every week. Yeah, projected, you can't read too much into projected because look, I always do this, right? So projected is based on this score. So I always have a look. I'm like, can Holmes get, well, he's already got 114, so he did what he said. Can Lockie Ash get 120? Yeah, sure he can. Can Whitfield get 92? Yeah, sure he can. Can Wilkie get 89? Sure, he can probably even go a little bit better. Can Dacos get 114? Well, probably not most weeks. But if he does, I'll be very happy, but I'll probably more expect an 80 or a 90. Can Josh Clark get an 86? That's probably what he's going to get. Butters 133, he can get that score. Dacos 130, he could get that score. Bont 100, he could go bigger than that. Callahan 100, that's probably around about what he's going to get. Will Day 110 is probably around what he's going to get. Matt Rowell 104 is probably around what he's going to get. Walsh 105, probably what he's going to get. And HK is 86. Now they've gone, he's 129 and 135. So all these ones that are 130-ish, they can all be 115s. Even on a good game, these guys get 115. So we took 15 off all of these guys. That'd be 60 points less. She's a 146. He could get that, but he could go 15 points less. So that could be, another makes it 75, 80. Horn Francis could just get he can get anywhere between a 80 and a 120. So, this could be on the higher side. Pick at 85. We're not going to sure what he's going to get. We'll probably be happy with 85. Petrarca will probably be happy with 85. Durham could probably go a little bit higher. Thrillthorpe probably happy with a 75 to a 95. And Grundy a 130. Well, Grundy's been lucky to crack 100 last couple of weeks. So right there, I could see, even if the players don't have a disaster, that's potentially 150 points less. So that's for 400. But at the same time, if they all do very well, and my captain score is actually an extra 20 or 30 points, and Bont scores 160 or 70 or something, and Rowell and Walsh do it, I could potentially score 2,650. So there's a lot of leeway in the projection. I don't really trust much of it, but that's the way I look at it. I look at the players, and then I'm like, is it likely he's going to get this score? And then go from there. Because sometimes they're very much, because like if you have a rookie, a lot of times if you've got a brand new rookie, like Fitzgerald is, they're predicting he gets a 38. He's probably not going to get 38. It's only because he's only played a couple of games. He's probably going to get a 70, 60 or 70, 75. So if he was on my field, that would make a difference. So, and even like, the people, the guys have had a bad run, who, like I expect Whitfield will get more than 92 for sure. I think I'd be very disappointed if Whitfield gets 92, but yeah, I don't trust it too much. You only have one trade left, Hoof? Yeah. Don't worry, mate. I have two, and I, I feel a little bit sick. This is the first time I've ever had only two trades coming out of the buys, and it's all. I mean, I blame all the injuries, but it's my own fault. I blame the injuries. We counted them the other day. There's 18 injury-forced injuries that I've made this season, but it's still my fault. Nobody else's fault but Seano's fault. Karen, yeah, you still got, I saw that, you still got Trelaw, but that's okay. You know, oh, we didn't see Petro, our friend Petro Crew, who comes by and visit us sometimes. He got as high as top 3, I think he was at, but he's actually fallen down to top 21. So it's still an amazing score, right? He still had a brilliant season, but I feel a little bit sad for him. I really wanted Petro to win the 50K because he comes by us and chats to us sometimes. It gives us some good advice. So let's have a little bit of a look at his team and see. He's been a bit unlucky, like you, Karen. He's got Noble in. He's kind of shit the bed since he's got him in. Dale Whitfield at HK. Um, Horn, Horn. Where did I get Horn from? Dawson, Heaney, Butters, Smith, Dacos, Zach Merritt, LDU, Herbert with Bont coming on. So we would have Bont here. Jackson, Grundy, and Gorn. So he's got Gorn in the flex, which he's actually got at the moment. He's got as Ison and Sheasel, Bailey, Petrarca, Miller, Kircher, and McKenna. So that's a top 20 team. When you look at the team, it doesn't look like a top 20 team, right? You're like, I've got lots of players like that. Hopefully he's got some trades in the bank because he needs to, if he's going to make a pushback, he's going to have to grab a few more players in potentially, in his back line, the forward line. But I really hope he does well. Nice of him to drop by sometimes and chat with us. Yeah, that was that before there was even a flex? Now, Corey, that 2,900 was a weekly. There was a 3,000 weekly last year. I'm almost positive there's a 3,000. Someone got 3,000 last year. Because of the flex, it makes it even more doable now. So there will be big scores, 2,800 plus to win the round easy. If you want to win the round, you're going to have to get 2,000. You want that $1,000 or $2,000, you're probably going to have to get 2,800 plus. But 2,400 is a very good score, and it will rise you in the ranks for sure. For sure. Unless all the players that everybody have go off, or even last week the captain choices were very easy. So like a lot of people had Dacos, and so there were a lot of reasonable scores. The only thing that divided up people last week was a buy round, so a lot of people had more players out, good players who were on that buy round. But in a normal week, that'd be a little bit, less of a. I wouldn't have jumped 10,000 spots because everyone has Dacos. Karen, I won't because I'm working over the weekend, so I won't be getting up to watch the Socceroos. They're not very exciting to watch. They're not supposed to win, but I mean, I like to support them and everything, but I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't watch a lot of soccer. I'm in Australia, so I'm calling it soccer. I lived in England for a year, so if you're an English person, I have English background, and you crack the shits because I'm not calling it football, what I say is the same thing. If I live anywhere else in the world, I do what the locals do. When I lived in London, I called football or soccer football. I do not live in London anymore. I live in Perth, Western Australia. I call football, that football, soccer, because that's what we call it. So I've had this conversation many a time with English people. If you move here and you live here and you want people to understand what the F you're talking about, you call it soccer. That's just it. That's just it. You can say no, we don't call it that. That's fine. But you want people to understand what you're talking about, you call it soccer. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. The same. I always use this example, right? If I go to New South Wales or Queensland and I talk about football, I'm talking about rugby. I don't say rugby, I say football. And they think I'm talking about rugby. If I go to Melbourne, I say football, and they think I'm talking about AFL. If you come to Perth and you say football, you think about AFL. That's how the world works. That's just how it works. I've had that conversation so many times, and it shits me to tears when people are like, it's football. And I'm like, no, it's where you live is what it's called. Am I bringing in Herbert or Franco? How are you? Yeller, how are you, buddy? Good to see you, mate. No, because I've only got 2 trades. I wish I was. I highly recommend bringing in, if you've got more than 4 trades, bring in Herbert. Bring him in. He looks awesome. He's got a great role. He could be one of the better rookies for playing on field than we have. You know, in the midfield, I've got HK. I think he could be better than HK to play on the field. If you've got HK playing on the field, if there's a someone out in the back line and Herbert in the midfield, I think that's really good. I think Joel Fitzgerald can score really big. And if you go look back, if you look at the stats of Joel Fitzgerald, this first game where he scored a 70, this could have been 100. There was a few, he didn't play a little bit less time on ground, and his few of his kicks, I think he had a couple of clangers. Take those clangers out, a little bit time on ground, that could have been 100. So he can also be a very good scorer on the field. But Melbourne are a better team than us, and there's always a chance that he gets dropped if Melbourne, bring some players back or he doesn't perform for a few weeks. Where I think Herbert, he's older, he's got a big body. West Coast Eagles are a very young team. We've got a lot of injuries in defence. I think they need him back there more than Melbourne need Fitzgerald in the middle. So I would 100% be getting Herbert this week if I had trades. So this is in my dream, in Seano's dreamland. I we'll keep it to Supercoach. You don't want to know what other crazy stuff goes on inside Seano's head. I would have 6 to 8 trades coming out of the buys, which is what I aim for most years. I'd be getting Herbert this week, and I'd be picking up Franco in a couple of weeks' time. When he's coming up to his going up in price, and then I would have a nice chunk of money in the bank with about 6 trades going into my league finals. That would be, anywhere from 5 to 6 trades. That would be my ideal scenario. And if you're in that scenario, I would 100% be doing that. If you've got like me and you've got 2 to 4 trades left, even if I had 4 trades, if it got me money in the bank and such a reliable player, I probably would do it. If I've got, say, any more than 4 trades, I probably would get him. Especially if I didn't have, reliable guys. Like I'm kind of lucky that I've still got Sharp and had Sharp the whole season, and he's going to be reliable for the midfield and the forward line. I'm very, very lucky that I just never sold him. I could have sold him a heap of times, and I just didn't. But right now, if I had more trades, Ison would be gone. Break even 25, I don't care. He would be gone for Herbert, 100%. But not Franco. You want to make sure Franco stays in the team. Give him a couple of weeks. But he could be really good. He could be really good. Waffle stats say he's good. Sure, Hoof, we can do that. Set up a rivalry. Find the team. Pies. Bar. Tom, this is you. So Holmes, Noble, Parker, Clark, HK, Perez. You got Dale and Wilkie coming back on. So nice completed backline with HK as coverage. Shees, Heaney, Butters, Dacos, Horn, Francis, Callahan, Sarong, and the Bont. Jackson, Grundy with ZZ there. Reed, Bailey, Petrarca, Durham, Smith, Daniels. So you need to do something about Daniels probably this week. Darcy, Cameron. They didn't bring in the other ruck, so that's good. You're like me, 2 trades left with Cumming and Dirksen. HK to upgrades. You have to wait for them. Cumming? Am I looking at the right team? Oh, no, this Hoof team. So, yeah, I like your team, Hoof. It seems pretty good. Do something about Daniels this week. Yeah, he's another one that I did as well. Corey, I got ZZ in and I got him out. That's a wasted 2 trades for me. I don't even know if he made me any money. I think I might have sold him at the same price I bought him for. which is kind of sad and dismal. That was before Flex. Corey, yeah, the 3,000 around. Well, I was before Flex. Someone got the 3,000 around. Wow. Tex Walker played West Coast. Remember, the Sun came fourth for the week that week with Walker as the captain. Really, he scored like 220 or something ridiculous. Kicked 9 goals against West Coast. That's what Tex Walker likes to do. Hopefully, he really doesn't do it tomorrow night. Again, AFL 2 games on a Friday. Really, really. Again, they're saying nobody gives a shit about Adelaide and West Coast. Who wants to watch that game? Or they're saying, let's double our money. We'll double tip. We'll double dip. Nobody wants to watch. Actually, what they're more likely saying is that no West Coast or Adelaide people care about Western Bulldogs in Sydney. I'd like to watch Western Bulldogs in Sydney. I think that could be a good game. I'd like to watch that game. But of course, I'll be watching Adelaide and West Coast. And well, I've got KO, so I can go back and watch the other game. But thank you, AFL, once again for, completely, writing off football. Football again, fixtures. Did I watch Carl's controversial? No, Karen. I only heard about Carl getting the can for his getting a can. This is my straight up version. Sorry if there are any English people out there, you can correct me. I lived in London for a year, and I had the best time ever. But I didn't have the best time because I was living in London. I had the best time because I lived in a big house with 12 other travellers, and it was so much fun. And we went out drinking every night, and we had an absolute ball. But and London was a great place to visit. It's very interesting, got a lot of history. I loved visiting, took lots of photos, had a great time. But to live there, it's a little bit depressing. And this is just my opinion. I went over with one of my best friends. He moved there. He's still there. We were both 20 years old when we went there. He never came home, even though right now he doesn't live in London. He lives in a little village outside of London, which he likes a lot more. But the big city, it's a bit depressing. It's a big dirt, it's a big concrete jungle city. If you like, I used to compare it to, it's like Sydney without decent weather. Which, if you live in Sydney and you like the really fast paced, everyone's running around all the time and whatever, that's what London's a little bit like. But but just rains constantly and everyone's a bit depressed. Nobody wants to talk to you on the train or anything. So I wouldn't live there again. Let's just put it that way. There's a reason why every second English person who comes to visit Australia wants to move here. It's it's not the most fun and nice place to live. That's just my opinion. I can be wrong. Hey, Yella, I've unfortunately got 2 trays left with coming Dirks. Oh, I can't upgrade. So, yep, we got to that. Luke the ball. Could you look at yours also? Sure. Deba. Ooh. Deba FC. Is that, am I getting that whole thing? Yep, Deba FC. Okay, rivals. Did we have a look at the pies? Did we get all the way through your team pies? All right. As we said, this will always be the week before. Deba FC, Luke, this will be you. Oh, rank 10,000. Well done, mate. Nice rank. Very well done. Good season so far. Ash, Dacos, Clark, Houston, HK, Anand with Holmes and Dirksen. Dawson, Heaney, Butters, Dacos, Anderson, Merritt, Callahan, Fitzgerald. What are your plans this week, buddy? How many trades you got and how much money you got? Bont, Cumming, and Herbert. Gorn and Sherry. With Edwards there. Sheasel, Horn Francis, DeGoey, Petrarca, Durham, Lombard. Like, still makes me angry every time I see Lombard after I traded him out for only, at 210k, and you got Sam Walsh down the bottom. So you've got a completed midfield with a midfielder in flex. You've got, Lombard scoring almost as good as some of the D6s, but you could probably find yourself a D6 at some point. But I think more importantly would be, if you haven't already, is to get yourself another defender. one of the big dogs if you can find yourself a Nas or something like that. You know, get a big dog defender because then you've got a complete defense as well. I had the Houston Dacos disaster, as I like to call it, the Houston Dacos Clark disaster defender line. I feel very sorry for you because I had that exact same defense line and I sold Houston out of frustration and I got Grundy, who got me sweet FA in the last few weeks, but I'm happy with my sweet FA just to get Houston out of my team. But yeah, I do sympathise with that back line, who in theory looked good, but in a practice is a pain in the backside, Luke. Crazy how it's easy to kill people. Yeah. With that laid in. Oh, yes. Yeah. You traded out Daniels for McCluggage. McCluggage didn't play. What? Hoof. You traded out Daniels, who's injured, for another injured player? Is that what you're saying? Or you're predicting because he might come back next week or the weeks after? You meant Dunkley? Yeah, that makes more sense. That makes you confuse the crap out of me. I'm like, why would you do that? Corey, and hasn't played since. Oh yeah, ZZ. Yep. Yeah, you had Noble or season Hoof. He's actually been very good overall. He was awesome. He was the number one defender. He was scoring 150s like they were nothing. And then the last couple of weeks when everybody was like, oh, maybe we'll get this guy. He's now almost 600K. Let's buy this guy. Everyone bought him, and he just like, nah, gonna have a couple of weeks off now. Why this week is double header, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There's a million games on Saturday. I don't know. I won't. It's all about the money for the AFL. They don't really give a shit about the fans. It's all about the TV rights and the money. Asking if UK is as bad as Tommy said sounds scary for women, especially. I have to admit, Karen, was a long time ago now since I was there. But when I was there, it wasn't, you know what? It wasn't as scary as where I grew up at home. I found London, I would walk home in the middle of the street at the middle of the night at 4 a.m., to my house in the middle of London from the pub or whatever, and I'd felt completely safe. Here, where I grew up, there's no chance in hell I'd be walking home at 4 o'clock in the morning by myself, where I'd be thinking about I was going to get, killed or mugged or something. But things could have changed a lot, and I'm sure they probably have. Went Dirksen to Nas and Lombard to Warner, Luke said. This is you, Luke? So you got Nas like we talked about, cool. Dirksen to Nas, nice. And Lombard to Warner. Wow, you got a full team now. You got a full guns. You got a completed team. How many trades you got left? Luke? Sounds very, it looks like, so your team's Ash, Dacos, Clark, Houston, Holmes, and Nas. Dawson, Heaney, Butters, Dacos, Anderson, Merritt, Callahan, and Bont. And in forward line, you've got Warner here, and you've still got Sam. You got Sam Walsh down there. Very nice, mate. I think at 10,000, you could definitely jump some ranks and finish in the maybe top 2,000 at the end of the season. Maybe even better if with a few good captain choices. Yeah, I like it. Very nice. Corey, you say you remember you had the most pod captain ever with Houston, 140 a few years ago, 0% captain. Apparently got told I was one of 8 people who captained him versus the pod. Nice. That's a good one to remember. Yeah, you met Dunkley, yeah. You always get Dunkley and McCluggage confused. Your brain and I sometimes confuse players. I understand this. And Luca, you got 5 trades left after you got a complete team. You're in a very good spot, Luke. If this is your team, you've got 5 trades left. You've got Dunkley there, and you got Nas there, and you've got Warner down here. I would not be surprised if you jump the ranks in quite a decent way. So well done, mate. That would have had to been like 500K in the bank. Not sure what that's about, Corey. Cool. All right, what time we got, crew? Do I think you should go Cozzy? I mean, that's a tricky one, Luke. Do I think you should go Cozzy instead of Warner? Now, I really don't know. You know, sometimes I think it's best in my situation. You know, I like to give advice the best I can through the stats or through, what I think or through my experience. This is a choice where I think they're both continue. If you went on current form, I'd say get Warner. If you went on season form, you'd say get Cozzy. But Cozzy's been terrible lately, and Warner's been amazing. And I think current form might have to be the way you go. Like, there's no guarantee that Cozzy comes back to his best form, right? Yeah, we all hope he does. Like, people like me have him in team early, hope he does. But if you let me put it this way, buddy. If I was ranked 10,000, I want to go up ranks. That's my mission. Like I like to play for my leagues, but if you like, I want to finish in the top 1,000, I'd go Chad Warner because so many other people have Cozzy. It's going to be a point of difference. And if Chad Warner starts smacking out 150s every week and Cozzy's getting 50, you're going to get a big advantage over people. So let's just have a look what the difference of ownership is. So Pickett is owned by 51% of teams. Chad Warner is owned by, even though he's kind of on my never to get again list, but he's owned by 7% of teams. So I would say go Chad Warner. Good. What's the difference, right? If your team, if he doesn't perform that well and your team drops a few thousand spots, who cares? But if he goes, really well and Cozzy doesn't, you're going to jump a lot of people. You're going to jump over the top of a lot of people. So I would go Chad Warner. I'm not because I potentially think he will score more, but I think there's more upside for you going your overall rank going up if things go right. What trades do I regret this year? We don't have a long. That's another stream, Hoof. That's like a 3-hour stream. That I have so many trades that I regret. Let's look at the bulk team, and then I can bitch about the trades that I regret. There's a few that off the top of my head that I missed. I really regret missing Willem Dersma, and I really regret missing Braden Cook. That's a lot of money that I missed, and two very good rookies that I missed. So does he say went Warner this week? So Wanganeen, Malera, Holmes, Ash, Dacos, Clark, Houston. He's got the terrible trio defense, just like I had, and just like we saw before. Hopefully, I'm hoping they turn it around for the last third of the season for everybody. Dawson, Heaney, Butters, Dacos, Anderson, Bont, Merritt, and Callahan. With Cumming, Fitzgerald, and Herbert. A beautiful midfield with beautiful coverage, full coverage and defense, full defense. You've got over 2 pitches. Then you've got Sheasel, Horn Francis, DeGoey, Warner, Petrarca, Durham, Banfield, Pod, and Walsh. Oh, I just looked at your team, Luke. That's your team, Luke, is it? You just put it in Discord as well. Okay, that's your same team, right? Okay. Let's everyone in chat. Let's ask everybody in chat. Who's your biggest regret this year? I've got a few. I mean, chasing Tristan Cherry after he got the 200 and then having to sell him out again. Even when I saw that his scores were up and down, it's a big regret. I guess McCluggage is a big regret. I wrote him down. We did the video. I won't bring it up too much, but my mistakes from the year before. Bad trades. So what I mean, it's going to take a whole new video. I actually did it because we did a video when we brought it up. So my injury trades, I don't like the fact I got in Young when he had that injury pre-season. Shouldn't have done that. Sherry Myers was I wasn't really to know he wasn't going to be good, but I probably could have predicted it. So to that, McCluggage was just everything pointed to he was getting better and he could have been good and he was at a great price, but I could have just waited. I got one good score out of him and then he got injured. I just probably wasn't necessary to make that trade when I made that trade. And then so they're my injury trades. Here's the bad trades. Anyone I paid 700k for is a bad trade. So Grundy was a bad trade. Even Bont, when I got Bont, was a bad trade. And Gorn's been awesome, but at 700k was a bad trade. And Houston, I really regret getting Houston at the beginning of the season. It's hard to narrow one down. The ones that really have affected my team badly, these ones where I've used two, one to get them in and one to get them out. Like, that's the difference between me having 2 trades now and having 6 trades. If I hadn't have sold Petrarca, if I had have just kept him and not made a trade, there'd be a trade I'd save there. Sherry, don't get Sherry at all. That's 2 trades, I probably would have got someone else, but so that's 1 trade I saved there. Myers, don't get Myers at all. That's 2 trades. 1 trade I saved there. That's 3 already. And McCluggage, probably don't do that trade. That's 5 trades. And Anderson, don't trade him out and just keep him, and because he was killing it. So that's 4 trades there that would have made the difference between me having a decent chance at this end of the season of gaining spots to my actual chance of I've got Buckley's chance of going up spots now. Really, it's going to be a rough ride to the end of the season, and that's even without injuries. Because he has a lot of tags to come. Yep. Luke, you said true that you agree. You got Cozzy in and sent him packing in the next week. He was terrible. Yeah, he doesn't handle that tag very well. He has been terrible. He looked so good in the beginning of the season, though. I mean, I don't regret picking him for the beginning of the season because he looks so good. There's some that sometimes you just don't know. You don't know it's going to be terrible. And you might have been able to predict like the Houston could have been terrible, but there's no way I could have predicted Sam Walsh was going to be as bad as what he was early season. Obviously, he's making a comeback now, but he came out and smashed in a couple of preseason games, a couple of 120s, and then did nothing for ages. And Jordan Clark is probably even Jordan Clark is at least I think I started Houston where I didn't start Jordan Clark. I actually bought him in after he was already a bit shit. So if you see a player he's a bit shit and then you're like, oh yeah, I should get him, probably not a good idea. Corey, Dersma, Cook, and Gothard were all 3 rookies. We both missed. Yep, I think as you meant and missed. You both went and missed. Yep, that's you again. Yeah, biggest regret is Rochelle. Yeah, I'm glad I missed Rochelle, but over Pickett and Beatty at the time in Houston. Yep, McCluggage too. Corey. Yep. Trading in Daniels. Yeah, I mean that was a tricky one. I guess it's a regret. But it's not a mistake. You did the right thing. He's just got injured. Some of the times you can't, like the Goulden one, right? Can't regret getting in Goulden. He looked great. He played good. He got injured. There's nothing I can do about that. Same as like right now, Right now, I'm asking for more trouble. I'd be more regretful if I've got in Will Day and he gets injured next week because he's held together with sticky tape. And then you're like, well, Will Day always gets injured, so you should have known that. But you can't really. A lot of times you can't predict injury, and even the McCluggage one. I mean, it's more about I should have waited a few weeks and seen, and then he would have got injured, and I could have seen. I did have lots of rants, Karen. I did have lots of rants. I can have another rant this week. How the hell has Sardis been dropped? I was angry when I got Sardis out. Imagine if I had kept Sardis and then they dropped him again now. I'd still be having rants. I had rants about Essendon and about Carlton, right? Like Essendon, I still was so angry. I was so angry that week when Essendon screwed up 4 of my players in 1 week. Destroyed my team in a week by dropping all the rookies and It really did. That hurt me too. That Essendon rookie fiasco early on the season hurt my team a lot when I had Sharp, Sardis, Tom Edwards, and I had Parrish, who all got dropped or, mucked around or had their positions changed in a week. The Anzac Day match, I think that's the one when I had a hissy fit, if I remember correctly, when they played Tom Edwards on the wing. Thanks for keeping you confused, Darren. No worries, mate. That's what I'm here for, to confuse the hell out of everybody. Just like me. Just to be confused, just like me. Great man Nick Dacos has into Nas. Yeah, I think in my captain's video, I did say Nas is a very good choice. The only thing I always worry about Nas is the tag as well, but the upside of Nas is huge, but I don't know if he's as safe as some as the others. I think Sheasel is safer than Nas, but I think Nas could potentially go gangbusters, especially playing that halfback role. So that's my worry with Nas. Maybe I'm a bit Nas biased because I don't have him in my team, but I did say in my captain's video I think he's a very good choice. Wolf says you traded out Dawson with the passing of his brother, which is probably still fair enough, unfortunately, but good to see him playing excellent. Dawson is good every year. I think we underestimate how good Dawson is every year. I remember last year that all the top players got in Dawson he went down to about 550K, maybe even less, maybe about 500K, and they all snapped him up, and he was so good for he's one of the ones that when he has that little bit of dip of form and dips in price, you buy him. You buy him every year. And with his brother, we didn't know quite what was going to happen, but it's still probably could have been a hole at Hey Hoof. Yeah, Jordan Clark was shit. He's on the never again list. Had money in the bank from going Sinclair to Anand. Cool. You've got him still. Oh, Jordan Clark. Yeah, you've got that shit back line, which is the Houston Dacos Clark. It was a bad trade for me. I got rid of Houston and got in Grundy, which sounds great, but Grundy had already got all these good scores and got me 290s, had a break, and then what did he get last week? He got like 110 last week or something, didn't he? So yeah, I got out Houston. I got in Grundy right after he got this 203, and I paid 685K from him. And then the next week he got me 95. The week after, then he had his bye. No, then he had a week off. Got rested, got a 95, got rested, came back, got a 90, got 190, and then he got 90 last week. It's like, God, give me a break. Like, really was a kick in the... But I was still happy. You would think, how the hell are you happy with that? I was happy because I got rid of Houston. Even though Houston has outscored him in a couple of these games, I'm still happy not to have Houston in my team. That is correct, Aaron. Darren, don't know about the AFL. They are completely... It's about money. It's corporate. It's all about the money. I heard an interesting argument on another stream about I really love the Centre Bounce boys. Go and check them out. Watch their stuff. Like their videos. There was a chat about why didn't North Melbourne, they moved North Melbourne down to Tasmania. And even though I love the Big J, I had to disagree with the Big J about it's not about the player pool, even though I don't think we do have the player pool to make more teams in the league. It's about the money. And right now, the big clubs, like my club and Collingwood and whatever, pay for clubs like Gold Coast and whatever to survive when they shouldn't even exist, which is, sorry, Gold Coast fans, but it's a non-AFL state and it's never going to make a profit. So it's $1 billion, or millions of $1 billion industry, but it's paid for by the big clubs, and bringing in more clubs who aren't going to perform and aren't going to make money is never a great idea. And I'm sorry to the Victorian clubs, but if there was less Victorian, the clubs that were losing money, over there went, other places and had a club there. I know it sucks. and maybe it's not the best way to go about it, but it certainly financially it would be better than, you know, going about the other way. Why isn't Finn McRae getting a game at West Coast? I don't know, Hoof. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I don't think he's part of the future. So I'm not overly disappointed. I guess if he is playing well enough in the Waffle, he would get a game. But he can't be. If he's not, you would think he'd be ahead of a lot of these other guys if he was. Um, I'm happy to play the rookies as a West Coast guy. So, I don't like Lindsay being out of the team. I think we've got to put as much experience into the Cooper Duff Tylers and the Lindsays and, as much as we can and build a team. Bit like, I want us to build our team like Freo. When all the midfielders get to about 25 years old, I want them to all be really good and hopefully still at the club. Now, whether they're still at the club, whether the Dersmas and the Harley Reeds are still at the club, that's another question that's going to happen. But if they could be at the club, we'll have a decent forward line. Maybe we have a decent back line, and we have a reasonable midfield, and we have a chance of making a run at finals, and maybe in the fairyland world winning a premiership. So I don't mind playing the rookies now, why the team has no chance of making finals. And over the next few years, we're going to not get too many more rookies with Tasmania coming in. So last year to get as the high up the draft and get as many rookies as we can, and as seem to be doing well at snapping people up out of the waffle and things, and when we can. So do as much of that as possible. And so in 5 years' time, we have a team that potentially can push for, deep in the finals. Remember having Cook at 2.1% in a preseason and never picked him. I heard he was going to play A's, and Clark just started due to Ash injury scare opening round that was going to Ash all preseason. That's dumb. Yeah, I was going Whitfield all preseason instead of Clark, and I went out of it, which was pretty dumb. Schoenberg was a waste of a pickup too. The thing is, guys, so McRae and Schoenberg, I don't know if we didn't give much away to get them, which I don't mind getting players if you don't give much away, because they play in the twos, and now there's selection. Like in the last 3 or 4 years, you basically, if you were fit and you were a human, you could play for the Eagles, as long as you didn't if you rolled up to training, you're like, hey, coach, my leg fell off yesterday, but they sticky taped it back on. He's like, all right, you're good to go. Now there's a bit of competition for spots. If you play a bit shit, you can be dropped and someone else can come in to take your spot, which is good. It means there's competition. It means you have to play well. You don't get an automatic walk up just because you're fit and you wear a jumper, which I like. So I don't mind getting McRae and Schoenberg to bolster the Waffle Eagles to make it more competitive for spots. I think that can only make us play better, as long as we don't give anything away. The same as people are talking about these getting players from the eastern states are a little bit older. Say Patrick Cripps coming home to Western Australia. He's actually from where a lot of my family are from, Northampton, my dad's side of my family. It's a small little town up north. And that'd be awesome. But we're not giving anything for him. If he wants to come home, we basically get him for free. If you want like a top draft pick or something for him, tough shit, we won't take him. And the same as, who's the other one that say they might wants to come home at the end of the year. Warner is young enough, I think, that you can give a little bit for him, but there's no way I'd be giving up top draft picks or whatever. We just have to grin and bear it. Otherwise, you don't want some player who's about to retire in 2 or 3 years. That's why Warner's a bit younger, so you can, not the same circumstance. But there's somebody else I know they're talking about. Oh, even Lockie Neal. Hey, West Coast Eagles take Lockie Neal every day of the week, but we're not going to give anything for him. You want first round draft picks or something for him, there's no way in hell they should be doing that. It's crazy talk. Yeah, Dev Robertson looked good. I'm not so sold on Starcevic. I have to admit, just because we got rid of, McGovern was forced to retire through concussion injury, by the AFL. We got Edwards, who's out with concussion, and lucky that he wasn't made to retire. And Starcevic has a history of concussion. So we could literally get in a player who could be not able to play in a year or two's time. So I wasn't really happy with that pick. And I'm not very happy with all the small forwards that the Eagles have picked over the first years, basically because they're Western Australian. Zach Langdon. This year, who do we get this year? The Carlton guy who can't even get a game either. We seem to do it every year. We get a small forward who's West Australian, who's just average and will never play in the senior team. Gimme could made All Australian. Yes, he should have made All Australian. Corey, he was doing really good. Owies and Jagger, yeah. Owies is exactly what I'm talking about, Corey. He's a player that I don't think he's good enough to be in the best team. Which I know he did okay at Carlton last year, but I don't think he's good enough to be in our best team. I think he's an absolute waste of a trade. And the one I hate the most is Zach Langdon from a few years ago, because we gave away quite a bit to get him, and he basically never played. He played like 2 games. Yeah, you have played Griffey in 23-0. Oh, I've seen that game. I was watching the Saw Play guys play it the other night. Gridley. It looks like a little bit of fun, but we're not going to do that now because I'm going to get off soon. I'm going to jump off. Houston are trading at Anderson. Darren, yep, I'm pretty close to those ones with you. I think they're both ones that I think a lot of us who did that regret. I really regret Anderson. Anderson is, like we talked about earlier, on my almost must gets again next year. I had him this year, and I had him preseason, looked at him, did all the stats, really liked him, got him in, and then sold him, and then never got him back. And now he's basically, except for last week, been killing it. Anyway, crew, I think that's probably enough for today. It's been a good night catching up with everybody, and I really appreciate everybody being here. And don't forget to like before you go. How many likes have we actually got? How many likes do we actually got? We got 12, so it's not too bad. We could have done with more. If you're still watching now and you haven't liked, please like. Or if you're watching this in the future, also please like. If you're watching in the future, haven't already subbed, please sub. It helps me out a lot. Really appreciate it. Especially love these live videos where I get to talk to everybody. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you're up to this week. And as usual, I forgot to do last week, and I felt really bad. I'd like to go through chat and say thank you to everybody. Before we do that, don't forget, join the Discord. It's still pinned to the top of this chat. And then next week, if you pop your team in where it says post my team here, we'll put your team up on the screen and have a chat about it, just like we did tonight with all these great people. All right, so we've got thank you, Corey. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Hoof. Thank you, Darren Phillips. Thank you, Mr. Cheese. Thank you, Luke. Who else was here tonight? Yella. Thanks, Yella, for dropping by, being part of the chat. Michael WCE, thank you for being here. Lanzy, thank you for throwing up. I know it could be a bit late for some of you crew, so I really appreciate you all being here. I think that's everyone in chat. I apologize if I missed anybody. Like I say, I appreciate everybody, and I hope everyone has a really good season, and a really good week, and a really good season. And I'll see you guys all next week, and I'll talk to you all again. See you then.